Oh, it's just all so good. So we got one more before the break. We've got Paul Turton. Turtle? I remember the name. Sorry, yes. Big up, Paul.
Thank you. No, I'll let you off. Never mind. Evening, everybody. Right, I've done this for the last two times, so I'm going to try again. 3 poems, 5 minutes. All of these are based on true stories. This first one, thank you very much to my best friend Glyn. Without him, this one wouldn't exist. This is called The Mysterious Greek Cafe. In the early hours of a morning, when bleary-eyed girls and beery-eyed boys emerged from the city's clubs, ears ringing with the sounds of 90s anthems, the mysterious Greek cafe existed only in the hours of darkness, that limbo world between sleeping and waking that only the city's clubbers and sleeping policemen see. A flickering sign guided the drunken revellers into an atmosphere heady with coffee and garlic, where for only a few pounds of a realm you could purchase a frothy cappuccino and hot garlic bread so pungent it could see off the vampiric hordes of Dracula himself. And behind the glass counter, an array of sweet and sickly treats shimmered under fluorescent lighting, and sandwiches curled like sleeping children long after their bedtime had passed. In the background, the faint strains of a bouzouki can be heard over the crackling cafe radio, punctuated by the zap, zap, zap of an overfilled bug zapper. And from a time when fast food closed at midnight and before dodgy burger vans appeared on the street corners outside clubs, the mysterious Greek cafe was a mecca for those few who could find it. Those enlightened and guided souls filled upon bitter frothy coffee and crusty garlic bread until the taxi queues dwindled into nothingness and the journey home could begin. The next day, head still aching with ale, we searched long and hard, up Queen Street, down King Street and along Broad Street, and of the mysterious cafe there was no sign. It had faded away into the night's alcoholic boasts, into the memory of those who had found it, existing only in the tales of youths who explored the clubs of the past. But I like to think still that in the day of dodgy kebabs and fried chicken chains, in a city that never sleeps, the smell of coffee and garlic still attract those busy revellers before the sun rises once again. Thank you. I'm lost. I've no idea where I am. I've walked round and round in circles for hours until the world seems to spin and career around me and the last of my resolve hides away and cowers. They are lost. I look at those strangers around me and realise, like me, they too are lost. Fear and hopelessness apparent in their eyes as we all wonder what we can really do. It is lost. The good intentions I began the day with. I want to scream, I want to shout. I'm losing the will to live, and I dread that I will never get out. All is lost. It's been hours since I saw daylight. Back when I was out there was rain, and I've lost track of time, and there's no phone signal, and I wonder, will I ever see my family again? I'm twisting, I'm turning. I'm going right and then left and then right again, round and round in circles in the hope I'll see the light. Hope found, and finally, after what seems like hours, I can escape to the world I hold dear, and I lived hard and learnt my lesson well, but I'll never shop, ever, in IKEA. Thank you. Right, this last one is a couple of poems merged together. Now, I don't normally give out content warnings, but gentlemen, if you don't like hearing about operations on your private parts, you're shit out of luck tonight. There are places for TV cameras. The FA Cup final, BBC Breakfast News, Glastonbury last week, political interviews and reality shows. Down my willy isn't one of them. You see, I've not been feeling well, and things are just not right. So I popped to the doctors and said, I've been peeing a thimbleful about 20 times a night. He looked on his computer. He tutted and shook his head. I need to give you a referral to a urologist, he said. They will check you out, he continued. They'll find out what is wrong. They'll give you a good examination. The appointment shouldn't take long. Now, I know you... Sorry. One too far there. The referral letter arrived and it gave me an awful fright. You see, they want to do an internal examination, but surely this can't be right. I read about flexible cystoscopy, the procedure that it is called. But the idea of sticking a camera down there, the size of a pencil, quite frankly, leaves me appalled. So after weeks of worry, the hospital day is finally here. And I've got to admit, I've been bricking it. There's nothing they can do to alleviate my fear. Now, I know you ladies are tutting and shaking your heads, and I appreciate you go through worse, that dreaded horror of a smear test, or when it's time for you to give birth. And I know it's not used very often, but my will is my pride and joy, and it's been my favourite plaything ever since I was a boy. And the doctor goes through the procedure, and he tells me what he'll do. It only takes about 30 seconds. By the time it starts, it's through. He said, just lie down on the bed with your bits exposed while all the young nurses gather round and I try and remain composed. It'll only take a few seconds, he said. You can watch it here on the screen. And then he started the procedure. And I began to scream, shit! Fuck, 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 fuck! It was the most painful 30 seconds I've ever had in my life. And I've had that Jewish operation where they cut a bit off with a knife. And afterwards I lay there cradling my penis, unaware of what was to come. I just need to check your prostate, Mr. Turton. So roll over so I can get to your bum. But this poem comes with a postscript. To ensure proper care, your GP should see 30 people a day. However, the NHS being what it is, they may see twice as many, come what may. It doesn't mean they can't do their job. It doesn't mean they don't care. It just means they're overworked, which really isn't fair. But you know your own body. You know when something is wrong. You know yourself inside out, and you know this all day long. Harangue them and call them, and make sure you give them strife. Don't live to regret it when you're in the afterlife. Don't let them send you away. Don't take no for an answer. Don't let them fob you off. And don't let them misdiagnose your cancer. Thank you.
I don't want tonight to end. But I do need a wee and a drink, so shall we have a little break? Okay, we've got 20 minutes, so I think it's 1:45-ish, so we're back about 5 past-ish. See you in a bit.